Though India had taken a stand that only those cases that are recommended by Pakistan government will be considered for a medical visa, a mother's desperate plea appears to have moved Sushma Swaraj, the External Affairs Minister. Mahashoaib is 7 years old. She has a 60% blockage in her heart. She can no longer either go to school or play with friends in Karachi. Her mother reached out to the External Affairs Minister invoking Ma Durga and spoke of Navratris, seeking urgent medical visa and intervention for her daughter. Sushma Swaraj showed India's compassionate side and the visa has been granted. Pakistan caught spinning another web of lies at the United Nations. Pakistan continues with its treachery at the line of control. Why will Pakistan not follow Sushma Swaraj's lead? Why not open doors and hearts to a neighbor in the manner Sushma Swaraj has to allow this 7-year-old patient to India? Will the latest embarrassment at the United Nations make Pakistan change its mind? On Saturday, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj left Terroristan rattled.
हमने IITs बनाए, Indian Institute of Technology. हमने IIMs बनाए, Indian Institute of Management. हमने एम्स जैसे अस्पताल बनाए, ऑल इंडिया इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ मेडिकल साइंसेस. पर पाकिस्तान वालों, आपने क्या बनाया? आपने लश्कर तैयबा बनाया, आपने जैशे मोहम्मद बनाया, आपने हक्कानी नेटवर्क बनाया, आपने हिजबुल मुजाहिदीन बनाया. हमने इंजीनियर्स पैदा किए, हमने डॉक्टर्स पैदा किए. पाकिस्तान वालों, आपने क्या पैदा किया? आपने दहशतगर्द पैदा किए, आपने जिहादी पैदा किए.
While responding to India, Pakistan's envoy to the United Nations, Maliha Lodi, held up this photo of a battered girl at Gaza. She waved it as proof of what she termed was alleged Indian brutality in Kashmir that Sushma Swaraj, she claimed, had ignored. Now, the United Nations Assembly President is thinking of ways to deal with a fake picture in a suitable way. Despite Pakistan's lies and continued provocations, despite Pakistan's attempts to intimidate and even taunt India, New Delhi has proved once again that it is bigger than Pakistan, militarily, diplomatically, and has a bigger heart. Sushma Swaraj has now promised the family of 7-year-old Mahashoaib that she will be granted a visa to undergo an open heart surgery in India. The family's request seeking help came on the same day as Pakistan intensified ceasefire violations at the line of control. Pat came the response from India. Baby Maha would get the treatment a child deserves. Pakistan clearly can take a few lessons from India.
The provisional visa granted by Sushma Swaraj to a 7-year-old Pakistani child who has to go through a heart surgery goes to show that no matter how bad the conflict might be between Pakistan and India, humanity wins in this war. This is Hamza Amir in Islamabad for India Today.
Humanity displayed by India certainly wins. Will Pakistan show its humane side remains to be seen. Joining me now on the broadcast is Ambassador Shiv Shankar Mukherjee, India's former High Commissioner to the UK and Nepal. Group Captain Sultan Hali is a defense expert who joins us from Pakistan. Hamza Amir, my colleague, with me from Islamabad. Also our Foreign Affairs Editor, Geeta Mohan. Hamza, has the family been granted visa? And if so, when are they likely to cross over?
Well, Gaurav, we've been trying to track down the family. They are based in Karachi, and even the Twitter handler through which this all of this episode actually started has also been made just recently. I think it was made only for the same intention to get across to Sushma Swaraj as soon as possible. But still, there is no contact of the family itself, and we're trying to get a hold of them, but still we have not found them. So after India's confirmation, I think it would be days that when they actually get the visa acquired and then they go on the travel. But for now, we haven't had any word or any location for the family itself.
Okay. Geeta, what is the policy? Because hadn't Government of India said initially that only those cases that are recommended by Pakistan government will be considered for a medical visa?
The policy is very clear. Now, India has differentiated between the humanitarian issues and the terror issue that India has to deal with on a daily basis with Pakistan. And is the reason why the visas had stopped for Pakistani citizens who wanted to come to India, saying that they will need an affidavit signed by the Foreign Office in Pakistan. Having said that, there are cases, medical cases, that go to the Foreign Office, and we're looking at procedure there. But the fact is that India has not lost out on the humane ground and the humanitarian angle. This isn't the first case that Sushma Swaraj personally cleared. Yes. after getting to know of a child being ill. We've seen in the past also children coming in from Pakistan, and so India is making it very clear that on humanitarian grounds there are patients who can come in, but there is going to be no relenting from the Indian side when it comes to how India is tackling terror and why the visas have stopped for Pakistani citizens.
Stay with me, Geeta. Group Captain Sultan Hali, Pakistan has money for nuclear weapons. Pakistan has money for terrorists, but perhaps hasn't invested enough either in good doctors or hospitals, Group Captain Hali.
Yes, Sushma Swaraj said that India produces engineers and Pakistan produces terrorists. Well, one of your engineers, Engineer Kulbhushan Yadav, found his way into Pakistan.
I asked you a different question. Group Captain Hali, why we get you in the broadcast is because we hope to have an intelligent conversation with you and not stay on rhetoric. Group Captain Hali, today is a day when
what one foreign minister or external affairs minister
I am sorry, sir. Today a Pakistani child is being given a visa to come to India for medical treatment because that treatment perhaps, and that's my question to you, is that treatment not available in Pakistan? No good hospitals in Pakistan?
Sir, that is the reason why we keep saying that as neighbors we must have better relations, because there are certain aspects and things to which you have control or you have developed, and there are certain which we have. If we can share them as good neighbors, as good friends, then probably there will be no animosity, there will be no poverty, and there will be no deprivation. So let us sink our differences and let us become friends rather than remaining enemies.
But for that, perhaps Pakistan Ambassador Mukherjee may have to take action against terrorists like Hafiz Mohammad Saeed, Zakiur Rahman, Lakwi, Zarar Shah, Maulana Masood Azhar. There's a huge terror factory there and not enough hospitals.
Well, I would certainly join our Pakistani interlocutor, Mr. Sultan Hali, when he says that let's become friends. Both countries will gain from that. There's absolutely no doubt about that. There's equally no doubt about the fact that not the Pakistani people, when I say Pakistan, I always mean in these discussions, the Pakistani military establishment, the security establishment that actually calls the shots in Pakistan, especially on big ticket issues, which is, their obsession with hostility towards India. The military establishment in Pakistan has, from the word go, from 1947, basically told the people of Pakistan that we are the ones standing in the way of this rapacious India, rampaging India, about to reintegrate Pakistan into its, greater India ambition, which is all rubbish. But that is the way the people, generations have been brought up in Pakistan. Frankly, it's also a bread and butter issue. This enables the army to dominate the economy of Pakistan, to treat themselves lavishly, to buy the best of, military toys and the most expensive toys from the world market.
Right.
And so on. So, yes, I agree with our Pakistani interlocutor that peace would be wonderful. But there's no doubt that as far as this equation is concerned, the ball is very firmly in Pakistan's court.
Group Captain Hali, please respond to that. Here is a former High Commissioner who says the ball is in Pakistan's court. It's for Pakistan to take action against terrorists and terror that's aimed at India.
Their foreign minister says today that, you know, these terrorists are a liability to us.
Exactly.
And so on.
So words and more words. And Group Captain Hali, sadly no action, sir.
So we don't need our foreign minister to remind us of the presence of terrorists, because the terrorists have been plaguing our lives for the last about nearly 10 years now, since 2007 to be precise. But Pakistan has taken action against the terrorists which goes beyond comprehension. In fact, we have turned the tables on them, except that they keep, you know, coming back at us. And we are fighting them. We are fighting them tooth and nail.
But sir, you're fighting them very selectively, and you are coaching, coaxing, cajoling, funding, arming and sending some others. Just 3 days back, there was a bat action at one of our posts at the LC. And sir, I wonder if you realize India has changed. Earlier, you had all these whiskey drinking track 2 types who would say some casualties are acceptable. Now, the new India, not a single casualty is acceptable, sir. Does Pakistan understand and realize that, sir? Terror is no longer acceptable in this equation.
Sir, terror is not acceptable to Pakistan either. And we want to get rid of terror. And that is why I am beseeching you that let us join forces to eliminate this common enemy, terrorism, rather than blaming each other.
No, then take action. You know, that's my point, Ambassador Mukherjee. That's my point. Shouldn't Pakistan show its intent by taking action against Hafiz Saeed and Maulana Masood Azhar? Again, Maulana Masood Azhar is someone who's wanted for trying to assassinate Pervez Musharraf. Ambassador Mukherjee.
Well, you know, again, I must say, Mr. Sultan Hali says something which I would applaud, and I would agree with, that they too are suffering from terrorism and that they are trying their best to get rid of it. But again, you're right. I mean, I wish his military establishment that rules Pakistan were listening to him, because they deal with terrorism, exactly as you said, extremely selectively. I mean, they nurture terrorists, and those terrorists now, you know, are turning their guns against their former mentors and masters. Pakistan, I think in the last few years, the year that he mentioned, has lost 70,000 people in direct action by terrorists. They strike at the heart of the Pakistani state. Like, you know, Hillary Clinton mentioned once, if you nurture snakes in your backyard,
yes,
it's not going to bite just your neighbor.
And but nothing on ground.
I wish others shared his views. I mean,
but Group Captain Hali, does anyone share your view in Pakistan, and especially in the all-powerful military establishment, sir? Because whether it's your ambassador at the United Nations, Maliha Lodi, who's caught peddling fake pictures, or your army on ground, sir, we see a lot of anti-India hate in Pakistan and no action against anti-India terrorists, sir.
So, when you ask me this direct question, the answer to that is that even India is guilty of some of the crimes as far as terrorism is concerned. I mean, take the case of Kulbhushan Yadav. He is not an innocent man.
He is an innocent man.
He has
sir, unlike... No, sir, let me... You know, since you draw a false equivalence, you may get away with this in some other channels, but not on India Today, for the simple reason, Group Captain Hali, he's an Indian. India says, yes, he was ours. He's a retired Indian Navy officer who was a businessman in Iran, as against a UN-designated terrorist like Hafiz Saeed, who you refuse to proceed against, or a UN-designated terrorist organization like Jaish-e-Mohammed, whose leader you refuse to proceed against. So there is a difference, sir. No false equivalence, please.
Sir, the difference is that if Kulbhushan Yadav is innocent, why was he traveling on a proper, genuine passport, but with a false name?
It is not known. Produce that passport, produce that man, Ambassador Mukherjee. Ambassador Mukherjee, you are neither producing the man nor the original documents. You're not even giving consular access, Ambassador Mukherjee.
You know, I wish Mr. Sultan Hali had not raised this question, because Some of the other things he said, as I said, I would agree with when he talks about friendship leading to peace, leading to prosperity, leading to all sorts of good things. But the Kulbhushan Jadhav case, even in the world court, you know, the Pakistani lies have been nailed. I mean, this is by an independent world body.
Yes.
You know, the whole thing has been treated farcically, were it not for the dangerous fact that a man's life is at stake. No consular access, no visas for the family, no international norms accepted, a kangaroo court, a forced confession. The whole thing was a farce, Mr. Hali. You know, I'm not trying to rave and rant about it, but that's not a good example. Even if you want to point to faults on the Indian side, please find something else. This is something that, you know, Pakistan should be, the Pakistan ruling establishment should really be very ashamed about.
You know, Group Captain Hali, on that note, please do ponder about this. Even Commander Kulbhushan Jadhav's mother hasn't been granted a visa by Pakistan despite Sushma Swaraj's request for a visa for a mother to see her son. Now, does Pakistan believe in any compassion whatsoever? I leave it for you and other Pakistanis to judge, because today Sushma Swaraj has shown India has a big heart, that Pakistani child is being given a visa, and we wish her well. We hope doctors are able to save her and she recovers. To all my guests, many thanks. I now want to shift focus to the other big story. The Indian Army today targeted NSCNK, Naga terrorists along the India-Myanmar border. This happened around 4:45 this morning, successfully hitting and harming a large number of NSCNK terrorists. Now, this massive gunfight erupted around 4:45 this morning. Several NSCNK terrorists were killed. This was based on a specific intelligence input. Although it's the terrorists who opened fire at the security forces first, what we are told is no casualty on the Indian side, but a very successful operation in which several terrorists were killed or injured. Let's listen in to P. Chidambaram, who says the government only talks about surgical strikes or military operations when it's in trouble.
I think doctors have told me that they wish to rename what they do, surgery. They wish to rename that. They must find another word. Everything in this country is a surgical strike. Please understand, in the India-Myanmar border, there are dense forests which have always been sanctuaries for rebel groups. As far as we are concerned, some of the militant groups take shelter there. From time to time, at the border, there is engagement between our paramilitary forces and those rebel groups. It has happened before. It has happened many times when I was Home Minister. It has happened before. If you ask Shri Advaniji, he will tell you the same thing. If you ask Mr. Sushil Kumar Shinde, he will tell you the same thing. But in this government, whenever they face a bad day, they have to do a surgical strike somewhere.
Quickly want to cut across to editor Shruti Ranjan Sen for more. Shruti, is there merit in what P. Chidambaram says, that this is a very routine development that happens? What exactly happened at the India-Myanmar border this morning?
Well, Gaurav, to begin with, I mean, what we have been gathering since we got to know that these strikes have happened is that there was specific intelligence. The Indian military had mobilized. And mind you, since the NSCNK abrogated the ceasefire violation, suspension of operations with the government of India, we have been, you know, after them. And more so after the strikes they carried out, and subsequently the surgical strikes that we carried out across the Indian-Myanmar border. However, it is true that the borders are open borders, unlike Pakistan, and therefore it allows terror groups like the NSCNK, the KYKL, the ULFA to access India and run across to Myanmar very, very easily. These are, yes, these are dense forests. But having said that, to bring in so much of politics into the military or what the military is doing is perhaps not the right way. It is a fact that a large number of NSCN-K terrorists have been killed. What politics or politicians do is completely irrelevant. This is a successful operation in which the Indian Army has eliminated a lot many of the NSCN-K terrorists. These special forces were involved, that is what we are being told, but for obvious reasons, because India and Myanmar now share a very delicate relationship, especially with the Rohingya issue, there is no point in trying to dig too much deep into it to the extent of bringing in a disequilibrium into that. But let it suffice to say that this was a very, very successful operation that has been carried out by the Indian Army, and perhaps a major strike that we had seen in 2015 has been averted. Gaurav.
Okay, good point you're making there. Terrorists could have succeeded again. They could have struck at Indian Army soldiers. We'd lost 18 soldiers in 2015. This time the army struck hard. Several terrorists have been killed. Full marks to the army also, because they all came back with not a single casualty on the army's side. There may be politics, but hats off to the Indian Army. That is all I have time for on India First this evening. Many thanks for watching.